Perhaps you're into grappling arts like wrestling, judo, and jiu-jitsu, or you're an avid road cyclist or mountain biker, or someone who does quite a bit of manual labor, such as gardening and landscaping, or you strength train at the gym and do loaded carries, or maybe you're someone who isn't so active but spends a lot of time using a laptop or computer. One thing you would all have in common is the use of your hands, and more specifically, the flexion of your wrists and closing of your fists. Now, there has been extensive research on the correlation between grip strength and longevity, and in fact, having strength in our hands and forearms is a huge advantage. However, speaking for myself, it is easy to overlook wrist mobility and neglect working on our range of motion in our hands and forearms due to our priorities and time constraints. Nonetheless, hand stiffness can contribute to injuries such as arthritis and nerve conditions such as carpal tunnel. Having previously suffered from ligament injuries in my thumb, I have a true appreciation of the usefulness of my hands and something we can so easily take for granted. As Bruce Lee once said,
"Well then, baby, you better train every part of your body."
And so in this video, I'm going to be showing you a wrist mobility routine you can follow along to and a few effective ways to open up the hands and forearms. Okay, so to start, we're just going to interlink our fingers and just do a couple of wrist circles working in both directions. Here we'll just move into some wrist waves. Nice way to warm up the wrist joint. Again, just trying to work both ways. Here we're just bringing our fingers down, trying to activate our finger joints. Here we're doing a wave with our palms flat together, just working different angles. Here we're squeezing our palms together and just moving from fingers up to fingers down, feeling a stretch in our extensors. Using my thumb and index finger, I'm just holding onto my wrist joint like a bracelet and doing a couple of wrist circles. I'll be working both directions on both hands. Admittedly, I do like a little click in my fingers. This is something I personally enjoy, but not necessarily recommend. And here I'm just stretching out my fingers by bringing my distal phalanges to my metacarpals. Here I'm just supporting one hand and doing wrist circles again with an open hand. Just warming up the wrists, here having a little shake at the wrist joint. Open and close. Okay, now we're just going to put our hands on the floor and we're going to do some finger push-ups, keeping the fingertips in contact with the ground. This is just a nice way to open up the hands. Here we're just twisting the elbows in and out. Okay, fingers facing out to the side. Just gently going to do some circles. You can put as much weight in your knees as you need. We're just going to go in both directions. Fingers facing towards us. Feeling a stretch in my extensors. Back of the hands on the ground. Stretching the other way. Okay, now we're going to go into the meat of the session, if you like. So here what we're trying to do is keep the four fingers in contact with the ground, and I'm trying to bring my elbow towards the floor. Okay, so I'm going to start off with 5 reps, and on the 5th rep, I'm going to hold for a good 5 seconds or so. Once I've done that on one side, so in this case my right, I'll move on to my left, and I'm going to repeat the same rep scheme. So I'm going for 5 reps and holding for 5 seconds on the 5th rep. Trying to keep the 4 fingertips, so that's the pinky, ring finger, middle finger and index finger, in contact with the ground as I draw my elbow as close to the floor as possible. Now for my second set, going back to my right hand, I'm this time going to go for 10 reps. And I'm going to hold for 10 seconds on the 10th and final rep. Now, only once in my life have I seen someone actually manage to bring their elbow all the way to the floor. So I do know it is physically possible, but like most of us, we probably have really tight hands and forearms without even realizing, and this is a great movement to kind of highlight that, and it's a goal to reach towards. If you can be consistent with this, I think over time you will be able to bring your elbow to the floor. So now going to the left arm, I'm going to do 10 reps again and hold for 10 seconds on the 10th rep. A key thing here is just nice, slow nasal breathing. So not trying to hold your breath, just trying to slowly ease yourself into the move and tell your body this is a safe position via your breathing. Okay, and for our third and final set, we're going to go for 15 reps, and on the 15th and final rep, we're going to hold for 15 seconds. Now this stretch might feel tight and there may be a little bit of discomfort. However, we're not trying to push ourselves to the point of sharp shooting pain. So just go to where you feel most comfortable. Again, just focusing on slow nasal breaths. So this is the long 15-second hold. And finally, we're going to go to the left hand for 15 reps and holding for 15 seconds on the final rep. Trying to bring that elbow as close to the floor as I can while keeping the 4 fingertips in contact with the ground. in the grand scheme of things, 15 minutes twice a week or so isn't really that much amount of time, so it is doable. I wouldn't recommend doing this more than twice a week. It's just good to check in every now and again to try and maintain that range or improve your range. Okay, here I'm just giving my hand a little bit of a massage, digging my thumb into the sides of my palm, especially where I've just been stretching and opening up my hand. I probably could have done this at the start as well. I've just decided to do this after my 3 sets of 5, 10 and 15 reps. Okay, now I'm clenching a fist and I'm putting my weight on 3 different points of contact. So as you can see, the sides, my knuckles, and then towards my thumb. This is just more for wrist strengthening, and just placing a bit of load onto my wrists at different angles. Okay, now I've got the back of my hand on the ground. I'm trying to keep my elbow extended. I'm just clenching a fist, so I'm feeling a bit of a stretch on the outside part of my wrist, as well as working on the forearms. Just doing 10 reps on each side here. You can obviously do more sets and reps if you wish. Okay, and that's it, folks. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.